officially hired today as the coach of the Houston Texans. But can I direct you to O'Brien's comments to PennLive.com from last month? While in his car on a recruiting trip, O'Brien said, and I quote, "You can print this. I don't really give a bleep what the Paterno people think about what I do with this program. For any Paterno person to have any objection to what I'm doing, it makes me want to put my fist through this windshield," unquote. Wow. Well, but what do you make of that?
Tony, I make of it what I think you make of it too. That had to be the most stressful head coaching job in college football the last couple of years after the scandal at Penn State. And Joe Paterno's shadow, even in death, even after his role, however you decide to assess it in that scandal, cast such a shadow. Joe Paterno, before the scandal, was Penn State in a way that no other football coach was his university, perhaps going back to Bear Bryant being Alabama. So I know it was difficult. Clearly, he's been a pro coach. He wants to coach football and have nothing to do with the kinds of things you have to deal with in an academic setting. He doesn't want to deal with it, and so he's gone. Yeah. I get that, and clearly he's resentful of Joe Paterno and the people who supported him.
Well, let me address that for a second, because, I mean, last year, if he would have left after 1 year, when they originally gave him a 9-year deal, I would have excoriated him. But he's done a good job. O'Brien's done a good job. Penn State's on its feet, and maybe even the sanctions are going to be lifted earlier than they could be. So I have no problem with him leaving. But this show of temper, you know, this is the same guy that got involved on the sideline with Tom Brady a few years back, and he seems a very chesty guy, and maybe we got one of those, what's your deal kind of situation here. I mean, this sounds nuts. I had no sense whatsoever that he was being backstabbed, you know, by anybody. He certainly never said a bad word about Joe Paterno.
Tony, I wouldn't characterize it as backstabbing. There's tension. There are people there still loyal, particularly the older alums, those over 50 or so, to Joe Pa, even with all that's going on. And he has to hear them. There are no fans who feel as entitled to participate, despite having no qualification to participate, as college football fans. It had to be the most stressful place. It's going to be a different kind of stress in the NFL, but not. I can imagine what was going on up there at Penn State. Unreal he's getting out of there with this tantrum. Tone, a bigger deal to me than Bill O'Brien is Lovie Smith climbing back into the ring.